to the largest member of the violin family. This is a double bass. I've been asked to make a short tutorial just to demonstrate a little bit about this wonderful instrument. It covers quite a lot of roles, and they are not just the foundation of the harmony, so the bass notes, but we also usually provide the rhythmic glue that holds an ensemble together. So a lot of responsibility, not just the foundation of the harmony, but also the foundation of the rhythm. It usually means we have far less notes to play, which is fine because we've got a lot more distance to cover to get from A to B. One tone, for example, will take me from my whole hand, from my first finger to my fourth finger. As you can see, it's a whole hand's width to play one tone on this instrument. So there's a lot of moving around to do, but it's good fun. And of course you have to coordinate left hand and right hand. There's a kind of myth that you have to be really tall to be able to play the double bass, but that's not the case. If I stand up next to my double bass, that's how much taller than me it is. And if I lift it up so that you can see the bottom end of the bass, whoa, there's the bridge, there's the tailpiece, and there's the spike that goes into the ground to stop it slipping away when I'm playing it. As you can see, I have 4 strings on my double bass. The highest one is a G string. The next one is a D string. The next one is an A string. Most 4-string double basses have an E at the bottom, but I tune my bottom string to a low D. As string players, we have more than one way to make a sound. One of the ways is plucking the string. For example, and the other way is bowing the string. The bow can only be held at one end. The end that was meant to be held is called the frog. Best to find just a comfortable place for your thumb, tucked inside the frog there, or a little bit further up on the stick, which is where I like to put my thumb. And then the fingers on the other side of the hand balance themselves around the thumb. So my thumb sits kind of between my second and third finger. And I guess depending on the length of the bow that you end up using, you would want to hold it a little bit that way or a little bit that way. Of course, the further that way you hold it towards the end, the heavier the bow will feel. So I'm holding mine about here. Now, I use the French style of bowing, and half of the world use another kind of style of bowing, which is called the German or dragonetti bow. It's a much wider frog at the end, and they play with their hands upside down, kind of. When you pluck, holding your bow at the same time, we just turn the bow up into our hand, and I sort of tuck it round into my hand to free up my thumb and, third finger, but we call it our second finger in instrumental playing, so that I support my hand on the side of the fingerboard and I'm free to pluck with this finger. Then when I finish plucking, I turn the bow back into my hand. So just showing you that again, that's the bow hold. When you want to pluck the instrument, I roll the bow into my hand and I hold the bow literally just with my last 2 fingers against the palm of my hand, and that leaves either of these 2 fingers to pluck with and my thumb free to support the plucking finger. Electra. That's from a piece by Bach. Because of the length of the strings, just like the other string instruments, we can play and sound like a flute sometimes with the use of the harmonics at the upper end of the instrument. So, for example, as a bass player, you don't often get to play melodies. It's our job usually to support all of the other instruments that play the tunes on the top. But occasionally we get incredibly wonderful moments where we do get to play a tune. And usually the tune is representing something dangerous, like you can probably guess what that represents. One of the famous tunes that we have in chamber music or chamber orchestra is a piece by Saint-Saëns, a French composer, and it's called The Carnival of the Animals. And the particular piece that he gave to the double bass, the solo part, was describing a very large animal. You guessed it, the elephant. Then there are more serious solos, which are very atmospheric in the full symphonic arrangement. And one of them comes in the opening of the third movement of a symphony by Gustav Mahler. The double bass is also used in jazz ensembles, jazz groups, jazz bands. That's when you'll be playing most of the time with your fingers, with what we call pizzicato. A very well-known jazz line is something like bass line for a 12-bar blues. Here's one of the best orchestral double bass lines that we get to play, and it was written by the wonderful composer Beethoven. And that keeps on repeating round and round. Just lastly to say that I think the double bass is possibly the most versatile of all of the string instruments. And one of those reasons being what I mentioned about you would always find a jazz band with a double bass in it. You often find a double bass in folk bands or ceilidh bands and things like that, as well as orchestras. So it's very versatile, and it's really cool because it's not only is it responsible for the foundation of the harmony of any piece of music, it's also responsible for the rhythm in any piece of music and helps to really bind and hold the entire ensemble together. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this short little guide to the double bass. I love playing the double bass, and I know that any of you who might be thinking of taking it up will also have a fantastic time music making with your friends and your colleagues. Enjoy it.